So thank you, Caroline, for joining us today.
Pleasure.
We just wanted to have a chat with you about your experiences. You've been an Assembly member for 2 years now.
Yes.
We're particularly looking at how politicians have experienced harassment in their roles. And, do you have any personal experiences that you think are relevant to this?
No, not really. No, I can't say that I do. Not from within my own party. There's no harassment there, as I've experienced myself personally. So no.
But your experience as a politician, I guess, more public facing rather than within your party. How is that on Twitter? Do you find people are generally supportive, engaged in discussion, or do you find that debate can be quite negative?
Sometimes people put their argument forward in a negative way on Twitter and social media and so on. And you have to respect that not all people are going to put their opinion forward in a way that you would like. Certainly when it comes to bad language and abuse, I just switch off, If someone expresses themselves in such a negative way, I find myself disengaging with them, really. It's just not worth the argument. And it's normally someone with different political beliefs to yourself, that are just trying to have a go, really, at the party. So you never take it personally in that respect.
But do you think politics can be more consensual? Like, it should be more consensual, and it should be a lot more, I guess, about having a discussion rather than having an argument. And I find social media often is very much kind of argumentative. So how do you resolve that? How do you create that good dialogue?
I think as politicians, we should be aware, really, that we are role models for the future generation. And I always try, in the chamber particularly, when we're engaging in debate and it gets heated, I don't think you'll ever find anything in my record that I've ever had a go at someone in a personal vein. It's never been personal. If I've ever sort of raised my voice, it's normally because people are shouting at me then. So then I've got to be louder to be heard. So I think healthy debate is good. And I think sometimes people get passionate about their part in the debate. But for me, I'd rather put my point forward in a measured way. And I would never want to hurt someone then, if you like. You never know what's gone on in someone's yesterday, their tomorrow, their today. So I wouldn't want to look at someone and they think, gosh, she was a bully in that debate, No, you can be positive, you can put your point forward in a robust way, but you don't have to be rude.
So as I was saying, you've been a Assembly member for 2 years now. When you were standing to be an Assembly member and going through that selection process,
yes,
were you at all concerned about, how contentious politics could be?
No, I don't think that ever really entered my mind. I looked at it and I thought, gosh, sometimes I looked at the House of Commons, and how they behaved, sometimes in a raucous way. I looked at some of the debates in the Assembly and I thought to myself, what is acceptable behaviour to the public and what isn't? And I think that we're all on a learning curve at the moment to be respectful to the public, because I've had people say, as soon as the arguments start, I turn off. And we want more people to engage with the Assembly. We want them to know what we're about. We want to be out there and saying, look, we do this, we do that. And that's why I think that casework and being out in your community is so vitally important, to engage with the public. And then they get a sense of, that's what they do, even if they don't watch us on the television. So yeah, I think to engage positively with the public is of utmost importance.
I want to talk a little bit about UKIP in the Assembly.
Yes.
And there have been, I think, issues. I remember the leader being called out for using the word harem in plenary before, and you've been quite strong against that kind of language. Do you think that that has changed at all in the Assembly, the way the Assembly works?
I think so. I make no bones about it that whatever party uses anything which is hurtful and demeaning to another person is unacceptable, whether it's my own party or whether it comes from another party. I don't find, it's not tolerable to me. So.
And what do you think the Assembly and individual parties can do to, I guess, promote a healthier debate and the, moving away from the use of that kind of language?
Well, there's all sorts of language that I've heard. When I say language, I don't mean bad language. I mean language from all sorts of parties. For example, when I was campaigning in Stoke for Paul Nuttall, one of our Orthodox Jewish gentlemen was chased because he was in his dress and abused, almost physically abused and chased in by another party, and it's not on. Things like that are frightening, and it shouldn't be allowed. And when I've heard things said in the Assembly, I find them, I think, did you really say that? You on the out, the person is a nice person, and yet you say that when you're in work, and I think that what politicians have to be aware of is if you said that out outside of the Assembly, outside of the chamber, you wouldn't get away with it. So you have to be responsible. Freedom of speech I believe in, but freedom of speech comes with responsibility, and if you forget that, you're gone. And I think that when you talk to people, if you engage with them in a positive way and you promote the Assembly, because 24/7 you're promoting the Assembly, whether you know it or not. When you're out, you're walking around the street, you're visiting a shop, you're doing your shopping, you are still a public figure. And as long as you remember that you are a public servant, you won't go far wrong. And I think respect everyone, and as my grandfather told me, your pen writes the same for every person. And that is a fact. Whoever you meet, you engage with them positively and respectfully.
What would you say, as kind of a final question, what would you say to any prospective candidates who might be looking at the Assembly thinking it might be a good route for them, but think, maybe I haven't got the right background to be an Assembly member? How would you encourage other people to stand? I
don't think there's any particular type of background. I think life skills is extremely important. I've had numerous careers prior to coming here excuse me, and life experiences, and I think together they make up the person. So I don't think it matters really if you haven't gone to university or, provided you are a people person and that you understand what makes people tick, I think then you can go a long way. So there's no set format for anyone wanting to engage in a political career. There's no set format. So just be who you are and then match your skills up with what's required.
Lovely. Thank you for that, Caroline.
Thank you. You're welcome.